And I'm just curious, because I'm a curious person. We talked about ice skating and
Oh,
swimming.
and bicycling, I
Uh,
forgot to tell you.
let's talk about what else did you do for fun?
Well, otherwise you didn't, these are things that activities. Otherwise you would meet with friends and get together. That's about all. Because don't forget, we were very young when all this happened. So I know I went to the movies once in a while, and I, being the oldest, my friend's parents let the girls come with me to the movie, but it was an afternoon movie.
Um, uh, After the war broke out and after the war came to France, so 1941 to 1945, the end of the war, what so obviously a terrible and kind of scary situation. You're going from place to place, and there's the resistance and helping and all this stuff. So it's a very serious situation. How did you deal with that seriousness? I mean, this is something we were talking about earlier today. Did you have fun at any time in those 4 years? Did you do stuff to make the situation? What I
It's like silly things. When we were in a non-school, the food was very lousy every place because the Germans sent everything to Germany. So my mother gave us some things that we could share. So we had fun doing that. We named the dog after that, things like that. But that's about all we were doing. Really, we couldn't do too much.
um, so
Well, after the war, one of the things we did, don't forget, we didn't know that my father wasn't going to come back. After the war stopped, there were buses coming, bringing back people that had in the camps with those striped suits, and my mother would meet all those buses and ask them maybe somebody knew my father, which they didn't. But what happened? The German were keeping very good records, so we went from office to office, and there my mother met a woman who had been arrested as a communist and came back. But she knew my father from when he was working with her bosses. So she looked in the document and she was able to find out that my father died in May 16, 1942. He didn't even last a year, which I don't find abnormal because when you're severely asthmatic and you go in cattle cars and you can't breathe. So that's how we found out when my father died. And of course, what was very difficult for my mother after the war, don't forget, she was not divorced, she was not a widow, she had no status, she had no way of getting money, she couldn't sell our summer home, she couldn't sell the business of my father and my uncle. Eventually, thank God, the French made special laws, and she got a pension, and she was able to sell the business. And this way she got some money, and she was able to finish educating my sister and myself.
I wanted to ask you, how did you, after you came, you had 3 children, and when did you tell them about what happened to you, or how did you kind of get into that topic with them?
To be truthful, I don't know. I think maybe just matter of fact. I really don't. We didn't make it a special. Little by little, we told them more, and then as I started telling my story, then they heard more and more about it.
Did they ask you a lot of questions?
Yeah, they did a fair amount of questions.